Hello again, everybody. This is Ken Allison and Mostly Sports Talk. Call Mostly Sports Talk because we might eventually drift into something that isn't sports. Once again, our guest for this special program is Lake Morris, the prep reporter for the Anderson Independent Mail. And I know you were real busy for a while getting your supplement going, and it's a good one. Matter of fact, you know, I take the paper online, and I didn't get it delivered. I rode by the office and picked me up a paper the other day to be sure I'd had a copy of it. And, it's just something, if you're in the sports business, you got to have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Short week 0.
Or as I like to call it, week 1.
Yeah.
We'll
Don't confuse me, though.
yeah.
I don't know why they do that, what the deal is, but not many teams played. Most of the things that you had in the paper on Saturday morning were the private schools, and their schools now. I broadcast high school sports in this area starting in 1959, and their schools I never heard of, both private and public.
Yeah, there's the one big one around here is the Anderson Cavaliers. They're kind of a conglomeration of St. Joseph's, New Prospect, homeschool, and there's even some public school kids that maybe don't have that good a shot of playing at the bigger schools around here that play for the Cavaliers, and they're they do their thing, and they're actually a pretty good team for the level of competition they play at.
Yeah.
It's a fun little environment down there at old McCants, and if you want to catch a game, they're there, and it's pretty entertaining.
They often play on Thursdays and Saturdays too, don't they?
Yes, they do. So it's a little more friendly if you're a fan of one of the local teams here on Friday nights. They're not conflicting with your Friday night plans.
Okay. Let's do a quick recap of what happened last Friday night. The only thing I can think of was Crescent Liberty, and Westside was at Clover.
Yeah, that was it for us in the area last week. It was a light week compared to what we're getting ready to have this Friday. But as I mentioned in my notebook in the Anderson Independent Mail on our Tuesday edition, we kind of had both ends of the spectrum. We had a nail biter in Crescent Liberty, and we had a thorough blowout with Westside and Clover.
And you covered that one.
Yes, I made the trip to Clover. They opened up a brand new stadium. It was renovated, memorial. Very, very beautiful facility. Top notch. They put a lot of money into it, and this was their first game being able to play in it. So I talked to Coach Early beforehand, and that was something they were worried about. They were worried about the energy and the environment they were having to go into.
Coach Early worries all the time.
Yes, he does. But those worries were quickly quelled after about 2 drives, I think. Clover just could not get their offense going. Former Easley coach Chad Smith still runs his single wing option up there. And as you know, if you run it right, it's unstoppable.
Well, all that option stuff is used in some colleges, and some that are concerned that we talk about around this part of the country. Wofford runs a form of it, an option. Of course, Georgia Tech is a thorn in the side of everybody in the ACC, especially Clemson with it. And maybe they need to take some lessons from the defensive staff out at Westside how to stop one. It's
unbelievably simple what they did, but it was extremely effective. They took their nose guard. JC went out there, and usually when you're going against that type of offense, their centers are usually cut blocking your nose and your defensive tackles.
Yeah.
Westside decided to do that to their center, and they were cutting the center, and that forced the guards to pull in and take out the nose. That opened up the A gaps for their linebackers to go through and take out the fullback dive. And most Clover's plays, were forced to the outside edge, where Westside clearly had the athletic advantage.
And probably the speed. They're real fast.
Yes, they are.
And quick.
Clover was at a disadvantage athletically.
Right.
But still, give Westside credit. They held them to under 30 yards of offense for the game.
No first downs.
No first downs at all.
Okay, now I have broadcast. I'll keep bringing up these kind of things. I have broadcast and done PA well over 600 football games. Sometimes we do a junior high game, a B team game, and a varsity game in a week. And one year I did Wofford games and Dorman games in the same week. So that's how these mounted up to so many. And I did PA at Clemson and also did some broadcasting high school ball during that period of time. So I've seen a lot of football.
Yeah.
Don't know that much about football. I hang out with some really great coaches a lot. I can describe what's going on down there.
Yeah.
But as far as X's and O's, I'm never claimed to be an expert. But I cannot recall ever having seen a game, other than Little Leagues, where somebody did not get a first down. I can't recall it.
No, I've covered a lot of games. I've watched a lot of games,
Yeah.
both at high school, college, professional, Arena League,
Yeah.
Canadian football, which I've slowly become a bigger fan of. I haven't seen any games where there's not a first down until last Friday. Now, I will say Clover did break 2 long runs, but they were called back for holding penalties. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they clearly had nothing going offensively, and Jackson Williamson and that Westside Ram offense, they were clicking. Him, Drake Thomas, Matthew Martin, Quinn Smith, Ebb Jones, they were all mounting up some big yardage, and the offensive line also blocked pretty well for Jackson and their running backs. It was a good first week for Westside, but even Coach Early said there were still mistakes, and they are going to have to play a lot better this week against Lexington.
Okay.
Ranked number 10 in the state.
Yeah, okay. And another thing there is there's some bad blood between Early and Lexington.
Yes, that is his prior coaching staff.
Yes, so. And that parting was not amicable at all.
No, it was not.
And so there may be some boo birds in the stands down there.
I wouldn't doubt it. One thing for your programmer, for your listeners that may be going down there, the game is not going to be at Lexington. It's going to be at River Bluff. It's a new high school down there.
Yeah.
I believe Lexington is doing some renovations to their stadium, and they're just not quite ready yet.
Okay.
But for any of your listeners going, River Bluff, maybe one of the nicest facilities in the state.
It's the newest really big one.
It's the newest one. It is all turf fields. It looks like a small college. I've walked through it. I've been to it, and maybe Dorman, maybe Wando have nicer facilities, but it's a close tie.
Yeah.
They'll be in for a treat, and they'll be able to watch a good game in a fantastic environment, I think.
Do you know much about what we can expect out of Lexington?
Not too much. I haven't really been able to look at them.
Okay.
But they are going to be, from what Early told me, they are probably this may be one of the more athletic teams they've had in the past few years. I think the last year and a half they've been kind of down after they lost their Mr. Football candidate, Shaq Rowland, to graduation. Yeah. But this senior class they have now, which were freshmen when Scott Early was coaching there, Coach says they are very athletic. They got good size, so I think it's going to be a much more competitive game than what Westside had this past Friday at Clover.
They run the spread stuff like most people are doing now?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know much about what emphasis they have on their spread, but they have a younger coaching staff, so they're going to have a lot of energy. And like you said, this one's probably going to be a little bit more heated than the last one, just with how the pass between Early and Lexington had went. And but yes, I do think it's going to be a good game, and we'll find out a lot about Westside this week because we didn't learn too much about them at the Clover game.
Sure, you couldn't have under those conditions, 40-0 and no first downs for the opposition, anything.
You learned that their coaching staff knows how to scheme against an opposing offense, so that was. But I think we'll have a much better gauge of what Westside is this year after this Friday.
Okay, now Hannah, coming off a really 3 or 4 bad years. Yeah. And a coaching change last year, and this coach who is there now is a very experienced coach. and he brought in something he hasn't done before, a new offensive coordinator.
Yes.
So Hannah moves into they playing Burns. All right?
Yeah.
And Burns is one of the perennial powerhouses in the state. Burns is, some people say, maybe not good as they have been in the past, and that's neither here nor there for me, But and Hannah, they are they're going to open up their remodeled stadium and their new turf field.
Yes.
And great big Jim Frazier scoreboard up there on Jim Frazier Field.
Big old jumbotron up there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I'm pretty sure if you ask their coaches, this is not the ideal team they want to open their new stadium against. Typically, you want to get a win.
Sure.
Not saying Burns is unbeatable because they had to pull one out against Northwestern last Friday. Now, granted, Northwestern is a different level of competition.
Sure.
But still, I mean, like you said, yes, this is not the Burns where they had Will Korn and the Bentley boys out there playing quarterback for them. This is a different style of Burns team. They're still athletic, and they still have that rebel swagger that comes when you play them. So that's something that Hannah's going to have to deal with.
Just the mystique.
Yeah, just the mystique in that. And part of beating Burns is beating them mentally. You have to believe you can beat them, and that's hard for a lot of teams to believe in because they've just been so good for such a long period of time now. But in Hannah's advantage, they are going to run more of a hurry-up offense this year, which I think does suit their personnel better. Key for them, though, is staying healthy. Last year, they had some really bad injuries in the preseason that really hurt their offensive line. And as you know, if you lose an offensive lineman or two, especially at this level, you're pretty much hurt. Not many teams have quality offensive line depth in high school, and if they do, they're very lucky.
Even in college.
Yeah, there are some teams. I think Clemson's one of them right now, trying to find some backup offensive linemen, but that's neither here nor there. But this will also be the first time Hannah fans will get to see Alex Meredith at quarterback, and personally, I'm interested to see how the freshman does in this type of environment. It's going to be a charged environment, I think, at Frazier Field.
It's a rough way to start a ninth grader.
Yeah, it is.
But baptism under fire can be okay.
Yes, it is. And honestly, after this Friday, Hannah's schedule does get a lot more favorable. They play Malden, they play some other teams that are not Burns, basically.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And as you said, it has not been a good 3 or 4 years for Hannah for football. Part of that just has to do with a lull in personnel of students that you have coming through the school, and a lot of it maybe just has to do with having the right guy at the right fit at the right school. And I personally knew Kenya Fouch. I liked him a lot, but it just didn't click. It didn't work. Sometimes that's just what happens in the coaching profession. You go to a place and things just don't quite work out. Certainly last year for Hollis did not work out at all with just one win. But I think you will see an improved Hannah squad this year, but I don't think you can judge them off of what happens this Friday, win or lose.
Okay. I don't know what you have on your list there for next or what you want to talk about, so I'm going to let you do it.
Well, we can definitely we did have one last game we needed to recap from last
week. Oh, yes. Okay.
Speaking
with Lake Morris, by the way, I didn't say this enough last week. Lake Morris, who is the prep reporter for the Anderson Independent Mail, and you guys are doing a good job for our local schools, and I appreciate it. Now,
I appreciate and I hope your readers are enjoying our new volleyball coverage. We had our first volleyball game.
Had a big spread.
Come out this morning in our Wednesday edition, so people can expect to see a lot more volleyball Tuesday to Friday in their papers. It's something I like covering it. I'm big in getting women's athletics as well.
There again, we mentioned Jim Frazier, former head coach at Hannah for many years, State Hall of Fame. His granddaughter plays volleyball at NC State. Yeah, so he travels all over the country to see her play.
But we'll get back to football. Yes, one last game we had from last week was Crescent at Liberty, and